Y'all, the Friendly Podcast Guide has been in the world for a whole year. I'm so grateful for all of you, the listeners who have been here for a while and the new faces. This past year has been a super fun adventure, and I can't wait to see what year 2 brings. If you haven't noticed, kid podcasts are one of my most used parenting tools, and I want to share their amazingness with you. I'm Andy Smiley, the Friendly Podcast Guide. I'm a mom who has used podcasts to fight the boredom and loneliness of motherhood, and now I want to help you find a podcast that can do the same thing for you. It can be overwhelming to try and find a podcast you'll enjoy in the thousands of shows that are out there. That's where I come in. My episodes are short, and they answer all of the questions you'll have about the podcast, so you'll know if it's a good fit for you or not. I'm here to help you find a podcast you'll love without wasting your time. Now, let's talk podcasts. Clap for Classics is another kid podcast you will definitely need to try out with your littles. Elizabeth Nixon is the host, and she helps your kids get their wiggles out while also helping them to appreciate classical and folk music. Elizabeth describes the show like this. Clap for Classics is a music education podcast for kids ages 2 to 8. Join Miss Elizabeth and Forte the Lion while we sing, move our bodies, learn about great classical music, and more. The length of each episode is 10 to 15 minutes. The series is ongoing, with new episodes available weekly. Before we learn more about the vibe of the show, we're going to take a quick break to talk about Elizabeth's 2 Clap for Classics curriculums. We're all told that classical music helps our children, but how? Elizabeth explained to me that classical music has many benefits for kids. It boosts concentration and self-discipline, it helps develop social skills and listening skills, and bringing classical music into your child's life will also increase their likelihood of enjoying a wider variety of music later in life. So, if your kiddos need any of those benefits, I know mine could use help in pretty much all of those areas. Clap for Classics has 2 great curriculums that can help you bring classical music into your child's life. The all-access membership has more than 250 engaging and educational music lesson videos, comprehensive music courses organized by theme, quarterly live Zoom events where you can find a community of similarly minded moms, and much more. The other curriculum is called the 4 Seasons Music and More Preschool Curriculum, which has 6 lessons per season. And these lessons include a music course, a STEM unit, an art unit, and a poetry unit that help you and your child explore the current season you are in. Elizabeth was gracious enough to give FPG listeners 50% off your first month if you buy a monthly or yearly membership. Just use the code FPG. Now we get to hear from Elizabeth as she dives into how wonderful music is for our kids and the adorable way she opens each of her episodes. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I am so excited. We love kid podcasts at our house and as the Friendly Podcast Guide as a whole. So I'm really excited to introduce my listeners to another fabulous kid podcast. Can you introduce yourself to my listeners?
I am Elizabeth Nixon. I am a mother of 5. I'm an Army wife, and I am passionate about classical music and music for kids. And I have an online business where we share music activities for kids, and recently got into podcasting, and I am loving it.
I really like to use classical music when I need to concentrate, and I've realized that my kids use it. It works for my kids too, right? Like I feel like when they need to calm down or focus on something, if I can turn on some music that doesn't have words, but is still like engaging, they just love it. And I feel like I need to use it more often.
Yeah, well, I love that about classical music too, because there's so many different ways I think we can use it. So you can use it for calming down, but it can also be super engaging, and it can be a vehicle for a lot of imagination. And I love that kids don't have any preconceived ideas about classical music either too. And so sometimes classical music gets a bad rap, but kids don't feel that. And we love introducing music in a way that just is fun and playful and helps kids really like connect with the music. So
definitely. So why did you start your podcast?
Okay, so about 6 years ago, my sister, Catherine Littman, and I co-founded Clap for Classics, and we started creating online music curriculum for kids. And our business is slowly growing and we love what we do. But about a year ago, I was wanting to try something new to introduce what we do to more of the world and introduce kind of the unique way that we share music and especially classical music with just more families. And so I thought a podcast would be just really the perfect way to do that, a way that's super accessible, that's free for families to get a really good taste of what we do, that we share classical music, folk music, nursery rhymes in really fun and memorable ways that help connect both kids and parents together and then also help connect families to music. So that's why we started it. And I've just really fallen in love with the format of the podcast.
I guess it's pretty obvious, but I love podcasts. So I feel like podcasts can be used in so many different ways. And I love that you're using it to expand your business and reach more families, because helping people to learn about you and learn about classical music and all of the different ways you can use it. I feel like podcast is a great way to do that.
Yeah, it really is. It's been a lot of fun.
Definitely. So what do you want kids as well as their parents to get out of your podcast?
So what I want kids and parents or kids and caregivers to get out of the podcast is that they will connect to music and connect to each other. So one thing that we really try to do is have an experience with the music. So this isn't a passive listening sort of podcast. This is something where you're going to be moving your body, you're going to be engaging with the music, and kids are just going to feel like it's musical play, but parents are going to realize that there's a lot of education, music education happening and packed into these episodes. So I guess that's what I hope. I hope the kids just feel like it's play and they're just having fun and being silly with us. But parents are going to realize that, wow, my kids are actually learning music fundamentals. They're moving their body. They're practicing developmental skills. And there's a ton of benefits coming out of this experience.
That's awesome. Oh, I love that. And you're not like tricking the kids, but like, it's so fun when you can like slide in extra learning and extra things to help them stimulate their brains and all of that without them even noticing. Like they're just having fun and they're also doing more than just having fun. That's the boss. I love that.
Yes, me too.
So how would you describe the vibe of your show?
Well, the vibe is silly and fun and engaging. We've added really a silly component to the podcast that is a little bit different than the rest of our content because my husband actually is co-hosting with me and he brings the silly, he brings the fun, and he is Forte the Lion. So he and I share it together and he just adds in fun, just in jokes and humor that appeals to, I think, especially the little bit older kids and parents, I think too. So that's fun that it, I think it's fun that it kind of involves the whole family, our whole family, and then your whole family with that, with that kind of fun and humor. So, the silly, the fun, and then like I mentioned before, it's engaging. So I don't know if that really counts as vibe, but like I said before, it's not really a podcast that you're going to put on while your kids are coloring. I mean, you might, but it's one that they're going to be moving their bodies. They're going to be grabbing wooden spoons from the kitchen so they can be keeping the beat while they're going to be clearing space to be moving and spinning and skipping and jumping. And so it's a very active vibe too.
I love that. That is so fun. And I feel like that is definitely unique. Not all kid podcasts are getting your kids moving. And like you said, we don't always want kids to be moving, but when you do, this is the perfect podcast for it.
It is. Yeah.
So I want you to tell me your favorite episode. But first, can you tell me where can people find you?
Yes. Just search Clap for Classics wherever you listen to podcasts. And then if you're wanting to know more about what we do, you can check out our website at www.clapforclassics.com. And there we can connect you to our music curriculum for young kids and our membership and our blog, and everything's on there too. So we would love for you to check out the podcast and let us know what you think. We love hearing from our listeners, and we actually include a little spot for you to send us a joke. So we have I know other kids podcasts do this where you can call in, and I think it's so fun. And so we do that. You can tell Forte a joke, and every episode, a little kid is telling us a little joke at the beginning of the podcast. So call in and tell us a joke too, if you listen.
That is adorable. I absolutely love that. So now can you tell me your favorite episode or maybe your favorite character or favorite aspect of your show? Just something that my listeners can be excited about.
Yeah. So I think one thing that makes us unique is our emphasis on classical music. Not every single episode has classical music, but the majority do. And one of my very, very favorite classical music activities that we share with kids is with Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. Dun, 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 dun. Everybody knows it, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like iconic music, but it's our episode 27 and it's Beethoven's Dragon Story. So this episode combines storytelling with the iconic Beethoven's Fifth music. And I love it because it encourages kids to use their imagination. So we create a really simple story, but then we encourage the kids to create their own story and to listen. And that's one thing we love about classical music is letting kids see the opportunity to imagine a story or to feel different emotions. And so this one is just, it's a fun story. It gets kids thinking, imagining, and also gives parents and kids playing together. We encourage you to act out the story and just experience it in different ways. So I love it. I hope you'll check that one out because that's a great place to start. And it is a really fun activity.
I love that. Okay. I will make sure to link that in the show notes so that people can jump straight there if they want to. Okay. So I feel like this is super obvious, but I ask all of my podcast hosts, is your podcast okay for little ears? Because most of my listeners are moms.
Yes, of course. We target ages 2 to 8. That's kind of our age group, but I will tell you that I think it's great for the whole family. And we pride ourselves on being a podcast that's not annoying for parents to listen to. And that I have a feeling those older siblings are going to be also kind of enjoying and listening. My 14-year-old actually yesterday, she said, sitting at the table and she said, Mom, can you put on your latest podcast episode for me? So my 14-year-old even wanted to hear the latest episode, which I thought, well, that's pretty good praise coming from a teenager. So fun for all ages, but yes, definitely great for little ears.
Love that. And that's awesome. That's like resounding praise from a 14-year-old.
I know. I'll take it. I'll take it all day long.
That's awesome. Okay. Is there anything that you want to add that we haven't touched on yet?
I'm just happy to be here and hope people will take a listen and then let me know what they think.
Fabulous. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. And I cannot wait to introduce you to all of my listeners and their children because we love a good kid podcast and we need more out there. And I'm so glad that you are doing what you do.
Well, thank you. And thanks for having me. And thanks for doing what you do and letting us all know the good podcasts that we need to be listening to. So I appreciate what you do too.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode. If you know someone who could use Clap for Classics in their life, will you share this episode with them? Also, if you're ready to take your child's music education to the next level, grab a Clap for Classics curriculum and use the code FPG to get 50% off the first month of your membership. Talk to you soon.
So the dragon is dun, 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 dun. And then the bunny is this running sound. This cat is meowing, Andy. I am so sorry. I trapped a cat in my room. Get out.
Cat's just excited about Beethoven.